Somalia signs a shocking oil deal. Who's winning? A new scramble is underway, not for territory, but for barrels of oil. In a region battered by conflict and foreign deals, a new power has quietly struck gold: Turkey. This time, not through drones or military bases, but through a deeply lopsided oil exploration agreement. And Somalia's future may be hanging in the balance. Hi, I'm Jalene Tesfaye, and this is Analytica Today. In a stunning move, Somalia has signed a deal granting Turkey 90% of oil revenues from newly explored offshore blocks. The government keeps just 10%. Supporters call it a win for infrastructure and stability. Critics call it a neo-colonial land grab. And just like that, the Horn of Africa becomes a new energy flashpoint. So, what's the real story behind this controversial deal? Why is Turkey, and not another nation, the primary beneficiary? And what does this mean for the future of Somalia and the balance of power in the Horn of Africa? Let's break this down. Recently, Somalia's Minister of Petroleum quietly inked a deal with Turkey's state-owned energy firm. The agreement: Turkey would fund the cost of oil exploration in Somali waters and, in return, pocket a staggering 90% of the profits. The government of Somalia, desperate for funds, security, and legitimacy, gets just 10. The official story: Turkey brings expertise, tech, and military backing. Somalia gets a stable partner. But analysts say it's deeper than that. This is about anchoring influence right off the coast of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, one of the world's busiest maritime choke points. And here's what makes this especially strategic. Turkey already has a military base in Mogadishu. It trains Somali soldiers. It has built roads, hospitals, and mosques. And now, it controls the country's most valuable untapped resource. It's not just oil, it's leverage. And in today's world, that's the real currency. The long-term consequences for African nations and their ability to control their own destinies remain uncertain. This is not Turkey's first foray into neo-Ottoman influence. In Libya, it backed the Tripoli government militarily and secured energy concessions in return. In Sudan, it sought a 99-year lease of Suakin Island until a coup killed the deal. And in Somalia, Ankara has been a significant player in the country for over a decade, building infrastructure, providing aid, and training its military, all wrapped in soft power. Now it's cashing in. This has raised eyebrows not just in Africa, but also among other global powers. Ethiopia is watching, landlocked and desperate for sea access. The UAE already runs Berbera and Bosaso ports. And yes, China and the US, who both understand that energy equals control. Some see it as Turkey's attempt to expand its sphere of influence in the Horn of Africa, a strategically important region. Others worry about the implications for regional stability. The Horn of Africa is already a complex and volatile region with ongoing conflicts and competing interests. This oil deal could exacerbate these tensions, drawing in other players and further destabilizing the area. And just like the Cold War, where Somalia was caught between the US and the Soviet Union, it now finds itself in a new geopolitical game. Only this time, the players are different. It is a subtle and high-stakes competition. And like always, the people in the middle are not at the negotiating table. Let's be real, Somalia, like much of the Horn, is still recovering from decades of war, famine, and foreign meddling. Now it's back in the headlines because of oil. But this is not just a business deal, it's geopolitics. It's about power, influence, and control. Turkey is expanding its footprint as the US retreats, the EU fragments, and Russia flanks Africa from the west. The Horn is now a chessboard. In Sudan, it's about gold and sea routes. In Ethiopia, it's about regional dominance. In Somalia, it's about oil and access. And all of this is happening as extremist groups like Al-Shabaab stage a comeback, possibly strengthened by the same inequality and instability these foreign deals perpetuate. So, let's return to the central question. Is Somalia's oil deal a lifeline or a leash? The answer, unfortunately, is complex, because behind the press statements and diplomatic smiles is a pattern. Foreign powers get resources, fragile states get promises, and the people, they're left waiting for hospitals, jobs, and dignity. Somalia may think it's securing its future with this deal, but what it might be doing is repeating its past. The fear is that this deal will set a precedent, encouraging other foreign powers to seek similar arrangements in other African countries. The future of Somalia, and indeed the future of Africa, depends on whether African nations can assert their sovereignty, control their resources, and chart their own course. I'm Jalene Tesfaye, and this is Analytica Today. If this story opened your eyes, hit subscribe, drop your thoughts below, and share this with someone who still believes aid always means help. See you next time.